Thanks for staying with us. So our hot topic today is about gospel ministers in the house of God. And the reason why this was hot was because recently Pastor Kwadju Oyemade of the Covenant Christian Center had responded.
Covenant Nation.
Covenant Nation have responded to a Reverend Father who was expressing his displeasure at the fact that many gospel ministers are charging outrageous fees to come and minister in their churches. Specifically, he mentioned an artist who I don't necessarily want to put her name out there, but the main point was the fact that many of these ministers are charging, and it's almost like as though that they are coming to is an entertainment transaction, not a spiritual offering to the people of God. But however, Pastor Kwadju immediately responded and said, "These artists you are talking about was in my own church, and they did not charge me. We gave her what we felt we wanted to give her as a thank you for coming." But now, as usual, we set those aside and then bring out the issue of the fact that many people do sometimes complain and lament that many of our ministers, pastors, or even gospel artists charge too much to minister. Others say it is a job. It is their mode of livelihood. How else would they feed for themselves if they don't charge? What are your thoughts on this dynamic? You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Bisi, let me start with you because you're also a gospel artist, and I know that you've been in that space.
Been there.
Back there. And, you know, and you might be able to understand better because there'll be a time where this was probably really huge for you, it was a front burner for you. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you think it should play out going forward?
So I think, first of all, the pain of a lot of gospel artists is they do not have support. We don't really have, or they don't really have record companies that come and pick them up and help them just like secular artists do. And when you are an independent artist, you are using up all your money. My saving grace was that I had a backbone who would plan his, there's this thing they pay them in the office at the time, quarterly, they call it quarterly. So every quarter, they give them lump sum. He would plan it for me to go record and do my music and my videos and all of that. So he was basically funding me without getting a cover from it. So I could afford to minister in a church and not request to be paid because I felt it was me giving back. But most of the gospel artists around me, that was they had nothing else to do. They were not working. I was a classroom teacher when I was singing. They were not working. Nothing else was happening. They wake up in the studio, they sleep in the studio. That's all they do. And they bring out these beautiful songs that edify you. You play the songs in the church. So they don't stop you from playing. You know, like there are some places that you can't play the songs. You have to pay rights. They don't stop you. You can play the songs in your church. Use it as your worship. But if you have to bring the artists, you have to consider their transportation. You have to consider their studio fees. You have to consider, and sometimes some of them don't bill pastors who have supported them in their career. So there's a particular church that every artist I knew wanted to belong to because they had a huge platform for supporting their artists. So the pastor cannot call any of them that grew up in that place to come and perform, and they'll be asking for money. But if you're a new person, you're a pastor, I believe you're working for God, I'm working for God as well. I don't know you, you don't know me. You want me to come and use my gifts for your people. You collect tithe and offering. You should be able to pay me something, at least to encourage me when I go back to the studio, encourage me to pay my bills, encourage me to do things so that I can focus and connect to the heavenlies and receive those songs to bless the people. So I think it's not about complaining. It's about asking yourself as a pastor, where have I stepped in to help the gospel ministers in my church? What platforms have I provided for them? Can I call anybody from there who, because most times we see them changing churches because they want to be where they are seen and respected and valued and honored.
Let me come to you guys. What are your thoughts on this issue?
So for me, I'll start by saying that the way media, this story
is from the media, the way the media packaged it. So the story came out from Daily Post Nigeria, and they said Mercy Chinwo now charges 10 million naira to perform in churches from Reverend Father Oluoma, slams gospel singers. That was wrong. That was not what the pastor said, what the reverend said. Okay. The priest didn't say that. The priest was asking, the reverend asked that, like, if you want to bring a Mercy Chinwo, how much would you think she would charge? The crowd chanted 10 million.
Okay.
So of course he was saying that musical artists, according to him, gospel artists shouldn't be charging for performance, and then he wanted to give an example, and people felt this is what she's worth or what we believe we should have to give her. And the Post is now, a media house is now couching that story in a way that would, a clickbait, because you want to push. For me, that is wrong, and we must keep saying it. We must be sensitive to other people. Just because we want to trend does not mean we should say something that might be compromising another person's path. That's one. Another part is there are musical artists that sing gospel and inspirational music. And there are musical artists that are worship leaders, that like they have, it is a spiritual journey for them. Just like you have some pastors that don't collect salary from their church. You have some music ministers that say, my relationship with God, the way I was called to perform as a worship leader, God told me not to charge any amount for performances. The only thing he would do is when he produces his album, you pay for my album, that's how I earn. Some pastors will say, I do books. Right. Through the books I earn. I don't take a salary from the church, but I earn through books. An honorarium when I get it. I don't demand for what my honorarium should be. I just believe whatever the church feels is worth honoring me with. So also is with the musical artists. Some gospel artists, for them, this is not a, just worship thing. This is, I am a Christian. I love to sing. I cannot sing secular songs because of my faith. I'm singing Christian inspirational songs. And this business must pay me, number one. Number two, many artists have bands. The bands, if you don't pay your bands regularly, they won't be committed to you. They would find other things, and that would mean that your music capacity, the quality of music you bring out will be fluctuating. So you put your band on retainership. Right. They call you to minister in churches. You are carrying your band to minister. Full crew. Okay, let me come. The least you would expect. Sorry, please. Yeah. It's a very, very personal thing for me. Because as a speaker for several years, I was feeling like God has gifted me with the capacity to speak. I should not be charging money to speak. Then I've gone to speak in churches. They gave me dry fish. No, this one I can never forget. Dry in a basket, dry fish. I've gotten fruit baskets. And I'm like, it took me money. And then I didn't have a car. I'll take cab to come to your church and go back. I know that you don't have makeup. Do at least. Okay, let me discuss this. Should gospel artists actually charge for ministrations in churches? Let me come to your thoughts on this.
Okay, so my immediate thoughts based on what you introduced would be, if something is someone's bread and butter, that's how they make their living, then they should be paid for what they do. It costs money to put music together, to go for the studio sessions, to perform the music with all the instruments and personnel that need to do it. So it's like a concert. And sometimes it seems that the church does not appreciate what people are doing for the church. You know, it's, and that's why you would see some people would quickly run to the secular, because the secular understands that, okay, this is work that has been put in and the person has to be paid for their work. It's not that people don't want to even give to the Lord. It's that some of us have taken, in the house of God, have taken advantage of that, knowing that, oh, okay, people are supposed to worship God, and you can give something to even show appreciation for the work that they have put in, not even for coming to minister, but for the work that they must have put in to put everything together. We know this must have cost you money. Here it is. You see someone who has ministered, and when you're driving away, the person is looking for a bike to get on. The person is raining, the person cannot, is it not sad? Wouldn't you want the person that stands before you and entertain, because for me, it's another way of entertaining and entertains you. When the person is leaving, should live with some dignity. You show appreciation, but that is on one side. Then the second side would be the story itself. It seemed to have taken a whole different form than what was actually trying to be passed across. It seems that the priest was saying that when it comes to praise and worship, the churches themselves, with their choir, they can do it without having to call artists to come. Because when those artists come, they come as entertainers. The praise and worship choir in church and those who are doing it with the church to praise God. So when you do ask someone to come, you have to pay that person. But for those who, we all go to church, we are not going to church to be paid. We're all giving, serving God, doing something for God. Nobody is expected to be paid in that, arena. We're all workers. But when you now insist that, we have an event and we're looking for this sort of person to sing for us, this gospel artist to sing, then you have to start thinking of paying the person. But does it make, I think the priest was saying, but does it make it any more spiritual when you have to pay artists to come, when your own choir can lead you to God?
That's a real story. That, listen, we can worship ourselves. We don't have to be an artist. But let me take this call. Festus from K2, thanks for calling. You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We can't just lump everybody together.
Okay.
Because they are not on the same.
Okay.
You have some artists with bands. Some will come with their full band. Yeah. So once they are coming out, if you don't maintain that band, you can't, allow them to perform to their optimal level. So they need maintenance. So the church invited them for pay. Yes. But if you are inviting just somebody to come and sing using your own choir, it will just appear like a lead vocal in that place. The backup singers and the people on the drum set, everybody belongs to our church. So that's another category.
All right.
Give maybe a token amount like that, not like but pastors, you are not supposed to charge a church for preaching. Yes. And it depends on the church. If you don't patronize them, they will not force themselves on you. When somebody is charging 10 million or whatever. So, it's their cup of tea. Ladies, I have something for you. Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you, sir.
You have been talking about women in marriage. There's something you are omitting. And that thing is open window for women, making them to be vulnerable in the relationship. That thing is, when you go into marriage, the husband will have an account. You won't know who is the next of kin to that account. All the materials in the house, you will go and buy this, buy that. You will not put your name as the owner of that property. It's supposed to be Mr. and Mrs. That is the chair, the land, whatever. When the man dies, any death can come at any time. Okay, exactly. You see the brothers, everything, they will drive out the woman and the children.
Yeah.
There should be a legislation. There should be, if you are married, the next of kin that bank, because it is with you and that woman, that is why you are making that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Festus. That we'll definitely consider. We've talked about it in the past before many times, but definitely we'll revisit it. You're right. Many women, there are various factors that lead to it, but we'll definitely take another day. Let me go to the issue of a structure. Because sometimes the way we do things in this part of the world, it's just haphazard. It just, even the entertainment industry itself, it took many years before we could put a proper structure because there were pirated movies here, pirated these. People were not being paid royalties for the work they did. So it took a long time for even Nollywood to get its act together. But the gospel industry in itself also is almost structureless. So you have to just find a way. It was one of these pastors that somewhat kind of built an industry where people within his church were given a platform to express. And now it became big names. Because, we're growing up with all this, today, oh, I live. So I never knew. When my husband was talking about the fact that he was under a tree with Wale Adenuga because they were in the university together. They were living in Abuja University together. He said he was there when the guy was composing it. Like, this is the song that he grew up as a child singing. Now became world over. But nobody pays royalties to Mr. Wale Adenuga. Till tomorrow, acknowledge, because we just know the song. So there is that structure of, okay, I am an artist, I am a guest artist, it's my job. How do I get paid? When I perform, when I go, when I have an album, that's the issue we're having in the industry.
Okay, so the thing is, I want to do a little bit of separation between the secular and the gospel. So for secular, you're getting in there, you know, it's strictly business. You know, your gifts will make a way for you. You'll stand before kings. Your gift makes that way for you, but you know that you're definitely going to be reaping from the gifts. So the structure is easy to just put in place. This is business. I don't need to know you. You can call me to come and perform for your naming ceremony.
Yeah.
I do my thing and I get out and I get paid. But when it comes to gospel music, because there's an element of spirituality to it, one, most of the pastors take it for granted because they have people who are singing in the church. So they feel the music ministry is very heavy because it takes someone who has the proper gifts to stand, and miracles are happening when you're singing. So it's not just singing because I have a fine voice and scaling up and down. Is you are ministering life to people. You are ministering health to people. You are ministering a lot. It's coming from your soul and your spirit. Right. And if you're really good and grounded, miracles actually happen when people minister. Right. So because there's that element of spirituality to it, I wouldn't say for every song that you get divinely, you would have to write to have royalties. I wouldn't say that, right? Because the gift is coming through you for the world. I understand that. But if you now need the person, the originator of the gifts, to be present in your church, now there's something we need to understand. Every Christian is supposed to have a home church, right? Where you grow, you nurture. Most of us grew up in the church. We preach, we sing, we do everything in the church. Your home church cannot call you to come and minister, no matter how big you are, and you are billing them. No, that's that's where you serve. But I'm not meant to serve in every other church.
Right,
so if any other church wants to call me, they will call me as the professional to lead them into that worship.
Let me pause you for a
and they will
second.
respect me.
I'll come back to this point. Let me take Sunday. It's been holding for a while. Good morning, Sunday, from Ilorin. You're live.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Please, I want to appreciate you. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
And keep it up. I would like to contribute to this topic. You see, the first time I had to see an honorarium being paid to a minister, a guest minister, I was shocked. My face was disturbed. I was like, how come? Why are they paying them? Are they not doing the same job we are doing? But as I grow in faith, I get to learn that these people also have needs. And they are committed to, for instance, all these guest artists that sing worship, if you compare them to secular musicians, you see that the differences are quite high. They need more maintenance. Nobody will invite them to a show. A Davido will not invite them to a show. Other musicians, other secular, even if they invite them, they won't pay them equally like other secular artists. So we are pushing the gospel. I think people just put too much pressure on this Christianity faith. And the way they are doing it, they keep making people to lose faith. They keep presenting the Christendom as if it's just a money-making machine. It's not. It's not. Right. You cannot be using their own basis to judge the kingdom. It's wrong. So